Hello everyone, it's me Clayton. I just finished watching Extraction 2, starring Chris Hemsworth, Idris Elba, and several other people, and a sequel to one of Netflix's most successful movies. Now, the original Extraction, released back in 2020, was definitely a refreshing action film for those who wanted to return to that kind of filmmaking in an era where nobody could go to the movies anyways. But now, 3 years later, Extraction gets its sequel and manages to do what a lot of action movies do for their sequels. Make make the stunts bigger, make the stakes higher, and make the action scenes all the more impressive. Let's get to the story, shall we? Tyler Rake from the first movie recovers from his injuries and, and finds out that a new informant, played by Idris Elba, wants him to rescue a family that's in the area of Georgia. Basically, it's the family of a gangster that has been abused, a wife, a son, and a daughter. And the son happens to idolize the gangster father, even though he was planning on killing his wife. So Tyler has to work with Nick and Yaz in order to rescue this family, while they also try to stay away from their from the uncle of the family, Zarab, who ends up being the main villain when he tries to manipulate the son of the family to join him, taking advantage of the kid's naivety and his overblown admiration of his father. But that's all I'll say about the story. The story here pretty much is like the first film, but with a few more elements added in. We see that Nick from the first film actually does have a brother that she cares about, and both of them end up as cool agents in this film. We get to see three people being rescued as opposed to just one, and as such, it's an escort mission with a lot more variables, and the action scenes here generally have a lot more things going on. In the first film, there were some impressive sequences, like a 12-minute long sequence where it looked like there were no cuts at all. Here, there's a scene that's about over 20 minutes long that feels like there's no cuts in it. So you get the sense that the people really wanted to up the ante in comparison to the action scenes from the first film. And while we have seen some impressive action movies this year, like John Wick Chapter 4, for example, getting this on streaming is still rather impressive. And you can tell that Joe Russo, one of the Russo brothers responsible for the Avengers movies, for the Avengers Endgame movie, you can tell that he had a lot of involvement to make a lot of these action scenes written well and to make sure they look well. Good, especially considering that one of the stunt coordinators of Marvel also had their hand here. You can definitely tell this feels a lot more like the action scenes of something like Captain America Winter Soldier that way. And that it feels grounded, it feels believable, but at the same time with just enough Hollywood zest to make these stunts look good. With that being said, there are, of course, a few problems with this film. I do feel that the child actors don't have to do particularly much, and the son kind of annoyed me when it came to the amount of times he screwed his family over his simple admiration of his father for some reason. And I do think that the climax is a little underwhelming, especially because a lot of the other action scenes are a lot bigger and a lot more exciting than the first films, but the climax really feels like it wasn't able to hit the same level. It's still satisfying at the end, but I would have preferred a bigger or more over the top climax for everything that was built up in the film. But despite that, it's a solid follow up. I actually prefer it to the first film, and if they're planning on making a third one, I'd probably watch it. That's why I'm going to give Extraction 2 an 8 out of 10. See you next time.